This is the slide which is talking about learn to build and deploy an e-commerce application with .NET Core, Angular, SQL, and Azure. The main intention of this working session, the deck which I prepared, is to provide whatever latent skills I have in terms of .NET Core, Angular, and SQL and Azure. I wanted to share my latent skills in this particular fields. The reason, as we are in the UK, the core skills are .NET Core, Angular, SQL, and Azure. They are in very much priority skills, where if I show you something on the job serve, so that you can come to know like what will be the core skills in the UK market. If I go to job serve, hope you can see the job serve portal here. When I search with .NET, here on the job serve, and I made it as a contract here, and this contract, if you see the day rates for the contract for the .NET position, where you have 450, 475, as well as 575, 600 per day, as well as 400, 500, the day. If you see the C# Visual Studio, which I'm going to explain in further sessions, and it is also contains SQL, and it is also contains Azure. So basically, the .NET developer is the main thing. Along with that, if I remodify .NET with Angular, so these all add-ons basically. If you see the day rate a little increased when you add something to your existing technology. So here, this will be the front end. So we call it as full stack developer. So the core technologies which we are going to learn very high level are Angular, .NET, SQL, and Azure. If I mention .NET with Azure, and we'll see, how the contract rates and how the permanent positions. If you see the 590 is the day rate, and 560, 600 is the day rate. The main motto of this one to cover all the, technologies in high level, so that you can at least gain some knowledge what is going in the market. Like how what we are going to learn from this session. We are going to learn .NET Core API development, Angular services, design patterns, SQL queries, Azure blob storage. Because if you see how I have designed this particular working sessions, to cover all the technologies and to cover, basically it is end-to-end project. So it should be have the front end, it should be have the back end, it should be have the one project, where you have the sprint ceremonies, where you have scrum ceremonies, like, 1 sprint, 10 working days. So it is purely on Agile methodologies, which we are going to start. So it is not a regular, what we are going to learn. Something like, from the scratch, we are going to develop a project. So it is a greenfield management project. I'll explain all these things in, coming sessions. So these are the core technical stack which we are going to, see in these sessions. So Azure, so we covered here Azure deployments. If you see the branching and CI/CD pipelines, where we are covering the pipelines. So web application architecture, full stack basically, Angular, .NET, so front end and back end. Here Angular, React, these are front end technologies. I will show you the front end technologies in the next slides, and I will show you the back end technologies in our next slides. REST API development, sprint, scrum ceremonies, retrospective, backlog grooming, flowcharts in Microsoft Visio, because you need to understand the design diagrams, documents, along with the Azure DevOps boards, work items, best practices in, Agile project management. Let me, I'm keeping mute because I'm getting voice. So if you have any questions, please unmute yourself and ask on this particular first two slides. One is on the learn to build and deploy an e-commerce application. This is the example which I have given on the first slide, real marketplace, So we know, right, e-commerce applications like Amazon, eBay. So similar kind of application we are going to develop and deploy. This is on the first slide. And the second slide, what we are going to cover. If you have any questions on these two slides, please ask. You're good to go with the next slide. Okay, let me move on to the next slide. So how I prepared these working sessions, basically, we are going to build an e-commerce website. So there are total 10 sessions which we planned. So today it is the first session, session 1, introduction. Later in the session 2, we are going to have the project overview and setup. And in the next session, API development. So here we are covering the backend services. In session 4 and 5, we are covering technologies, Angular. And session 6, .NET development. So the reason keeping session 3 and session 6, .NET, because we wanted to develop APIs, and alongside we wanted to develop the front end, screens, like what I have shown on the, first page, if you see the screens. So basically, we are going to cover backend technology as well as front-end technology. Along with the database, if you see 9 and 10, we are using some database queries like, creation of materials, like if it is a buy and sell products, like we need to prepare some dummy data in order to showcase on the front end. Basically, categories, if you see on the screen, like, or else if you go to any Amazon portal, you will get the data. So that data has been stored somewhere in the database. So that database, we are going to, create it and keep some data in it. And session 11, like with Angular and ASP.NET Core. Session 12, security authentication, because we wanted to authenticate our user. If you go to eBay and you wanted to log in eBay, you need to have some username and password. So that mechanism also we are going to build in the session number 12. So users can validate and they can place the order, and if I have an iPhone, I wanted to sell iPhone, so I'll go and upload my iPhone photos along with bidding price, for example, £100, which I'm going to do that. So whoever interested, they can contact through email or through message. So in order to do that, user has to first log in into our website, and they need to upload their selling product. So that is the way where we have security and authentication, where user can upload their things and process further. Coming to the session 13, this is basic unit testing. And session 14, if you see here, we are covering DevOps. So we covered testing. It is all, life cycle, software development life cycle. We are covering all in these 20 sessions. Session 15, deployment. Here you are using CI/CD pipelines. So here it is 14 and 15. We covered DevOps and end-to-end integration handshake testing. 17 and 18 sessions we are going to cover. And in the 19th, we see like, Azure.NET and Angular interview question and answers. And in the 20, like final ceremony, like sprint ceremonies, like how we achieved this one and, what was the final outcome. So we will see Agile and Kanban fashion model principal methodologies in order to proceed further in terms of, if you're planning to go for an interview, like something like mock interviews kind of thing, we can plan in the session number 20. So this is how I have designed. The reason is, we can cover end-to-end project along with the core technical, features. Like here, if you see, in the API development, session 8, session 6, session 3, where you are having APIs, which is, including Azure storage, blob storage kind of thing. So those all will be covered here in these sessions. Anything so far on these sessions, please raise. And these are sessions which I'm planning on every Wednesday. So we will see based on the, everyone's availability, if not Sunday, but anyway, I'm recording this session, so no need to bother. So these session recordings will be provided in order to you start working from your home and see how the, the project is going on. If you see the screen, we are going to build an app using these technologies. You can see the symbols here, .NET Core, that is Microsoft. And if you see the Microsoft SQL Server, and when we have this thing, the front-end technology will be Angular we are using. I will tell you why we are using these three stacks. We have Java, we have PHP, we have Oracle, we have MySQL, MongoDB. But why we are only taking these three, we will explain in the next slides. Okay. If you take this screen, you can see simply like the left side section where you have Angular, that is front-end application. Here you can see JavaScript, HTML, as well as jQueries. Along with that, if you compare Angular with other platforms, like if you see the other front-end frameworks in the next slide, React, Angular, Vue, and others. So React is, leading here. The most demanded front-end framework in the year of 2022 is React. And the reason Angular chosen here, the Angular is, much more loosely coupled when we compare with the React in terms of combination with the .NET Core APIs. If you see, we are using the .NET Core APIs, and Angular is the front end. And here this it is displaying as 10, but we are going to use the latest version, Angular 14. And the backend is this one. And anyway, SQL is, Microsoft SQL. So we are going to utilize these three things and build our e-commerce website. If you see ASP.NET Core application, that is in the middleware, where you can see API, application logic, entity framework core. Here the screenshot showing CosmoDB, but we are using SQL here. And the database basically for the transactions, because we wanted to have the product information. So it is going to, we are not going to store in the Excel, or we are not going to store in the Oracle, or so we are using here SQL to save all the data, user data, as well as user data means like end users data, because I am from India, I wanted to upload something. So those information will be saved in our database. Moving to the next slide. This is what we have discussed, like number of job opportunities, front-end framework with the React and Angular and other technology frameworks. Now we are going to develop with Angular. So top 10 programming languages. If you see, this is front-end and this is back-end. So now on the survey 2020, the top 10 programming languages what we had: Python, JavaScript, Java, C#. C# is in the 4th position, which we are going to develop now, which we are using now in order to develop our e-commerce website. So we are going to use C# and we are going to use Angular and SQL to develop our e-commerce web application. Moving to the next one, the database one, world's most popular databases. If you see that in the 3rd position, we have Microsoft SQL Server, where we are going to consume that Microsoft SQL Server in order to create our database, and in order to save our data, and in order to manipulate our data, for doing all the transactions. We are using SQL Server. Do you have anything on these 4 slides? Please let me know so we can move to the installation of Angular. Okay. Now the first part, front-end part, we are going to set up and install Angular 13. So here, the prerequisites: how to install Node.js, how to install Node Package Manager, how to install Angular CLI, how to create a first application, because we are doing this as first application, how to execute Angular application. My suggestion will be, as we are doing every 1 week, so you will be having this 1 week period to do the same steps which there in the sheet in this presentation deck. So you have 1 week, so you can open the laptop and install Node.js and Node Package Manager and Angular CLI. And whatever you face challenges, we can discuss in our next session. So that will be, at least you have some breathing time to, check what happened in this session, and you can come out with your all questions, like where you, if you faced any challenges, like while installing this Angular, .NET Core, and SQL databases. And if moving forward, like we are writing the code, and if you find out any errors while implementing, and you can reach out in our next sessions. So this is the front end Angular, which we are going to install it. So basically, Angular is a front end framework which is used to create web application. It uses TypeScript by default for creating logics. So TypeScript, JavaScript. Earlier time we used to have the JavaScript. Now after Angular, we have been using TypeScript in order to communicate with the services. You will come to know all these in our next sessions, but this is very high level. So in order, if you go to any Angular interviews, they can ask, like, Angular questions, React questions, which are similar because React is also a front-end framework. Angular is a front-end framework. If you go to any websites and see what will be the front-end framework, for that applications. Angular is a front-end framework which is used to create web application. It uses TypeScript by default for creating logics and methods for a class, but the browser doesn't know the TypeScript. There are so many configuration files, like even if you install, don't bother. You'll come to know one by one in our next sessions why we have been using the package JSON or JavaScript object notation files. This is a very starting step for this particular framework. In order to understand, in order to proceed further, you need to have these installed in your machine. Angular CLI, Common Language Interface, is a tool. Does all these things in a simple manner, basically command prompt, where you will be, in order to create the project, in order to, deploy the project into the server. So these will be the CLIs which we are going to use now. So in order to start before, so maybe in the next Wednesday session, before session, you need to make sure the Node and npm install in your machine, so that you can do parallelly, without waiting for much time. So you can check your Node versions and npm versions by using these following commands. So this is the Node. Yes, where we are going to have it. I'll show you how you need to install it. So you need to take one of the version. And this is the Node.js prerequisite for Angular. So you need to install this one. I have already installed in my machine. In the next step, so Node.js and npm will be installed in your system. Once installation complete, execute the below commands. If you see my screen, I'll open some command prompt, and I'm trying to, check what is the Node version which I have in my machine. So I'm having 18.2.1, which is the Node version. I'm having NuGet package manager version 8.9.19.2. So once you complete your installation, please use these commands in order to, check the node is properly installed or not. These two things are the first step. Yeah. Later, you need to install Angular. So this is the main thing. So if you go to back and you see the prerequisites, Node.js, Node Package Manager, and the third one, Angular CLI. Once you install Node.js, right, Node Package Manager automatically install, no need to bother. Once Angular CLI, you open it here. Go to this is, yeah, npm install G. G is global. So, it will install in your, it's not only particular C drive or D drive. It will be available even if you have your Angular application in some drive, it will be available for you in order to proceed further. So in the above command, G means it will install globally and it will be available from anywhere in the system. So basically, if you have this command npm install -g angular CLI, so you can see this kind of, command prompt, output. Later, you wanted to see what is the version you are using. So just run this version, ng version. If you have installed 13th version, you will see Angular 13. But if you install 14, you need to simply use the command called ng-version. Ng is Angular, version is the version. So if you see my screen, you can see Angular is installed in my local computer. This is the very first step, in order to start this project session. It's not, very low level presentation. It is very high level. So you need to understand, at least minimum, you need to have a minimum knowledge on these, installations and other things. So as you have this sheet handy, so can, start directly into the project. Like you will become like how you will be gonna on the floor immediately, like within 3 to 4 months. You don't need to spend entire 1 or 2 years to learn Angular first for 4 months, or .NET 4 months, SQL 4 months, and Azure 4 months. No need to do that. So if you able to grasp the things quickly in terms of end-to-end project, what you call this as end-to-end project, instead of calling it as basic for the beginner programmers, it is high level designed sessions. So you can directly use this project as a reference for your next upcoming interviews also, if you have any. So moving on to the next slide, you have ng version. And now we'll see like how to create a new Angular sample from scratch using Angular CLI and how we are going to run it. As I mentioned that Angular CLI is common language interface. So we need to run, and see how we are going to create an Angular application. So run ng space new followed by application name as shown here. For example, ng new install the necessary npm packages and other dependencies that Angular requires. This can take a few minutes. So we will do our own things now. If I go here, or if I have these things, I'm taking one of the example here. CMD command, or else you can use the file here, PowerShell. Both the things are same, but I habituated doing with the command. And here's the new folder. What it is saying, ng space new, ng space new. So what is the project name? So similar type of eBay. If we are going to create a eBay or any other website, for example, buy and sell. If I'm going to create buy and sell website, my first buy and sell website. So basically, ng is new, and it is asking, do you want routing? So basically, I don't want any routing because it is very small thing which I'm going to start working on. Here it is going to ask you which style sheet. Basically, these are the 4 style sheet formats available in the Angular right now. And cascading style sheet, CSS, is the mostly used style sheet formats. I click CSS. If you see my screen, would you like to add Angular routing? I mentioned no, because it is first application. We don't want to go in depth on this. Which style sheet format would you like to use? I mentioned CSS. So it is installing packages. If you see, these are the files which automatically created in our website folder. If I go here and see whether it is creating anything. So if you see buy and sell website, it is still creating. It will take some time in order to provide the entire files. Once it is entire thing completed, you will get all the required necessary files here. It will take a minute to install all the required packages. So it has installed all the required packages. If you see on my screen, so it has installed. Then I need to go inside it, inside that particular folder where I have created. And after package installed successfully, we need to run this command in order to work. So you need to go inside this folder where you have where we have created the project, where you need to run this command in order to work. So ngserve is the command which will need to run inside the folder which automatically created when we had the ngserve, sorry, ng-new. Now it is building. Now it will let us know the localhost along with the port number. If you see on my screen, it has given one URL, http colon localhost 4200. If I go here and use it, I copied there and I'm pasting here. So if you see here, this is the website which we created, sample website. And this is, the website, buy and sell website. App is running. So here we wanted to create the left menu, right menu, how we have in the Amazon. So if you have go to Amazon, like, it's a similar kind of, this is a basic structure where you have the header menus, where you have the footer menus, and where you have the, required information like contact information, all the menus like whatever, if you see here you clicked it, the left section, left menu, and you have something like whoever logged in here. So these all will be available in the Amazon portal, similar kind of portal which we are going to start. So this is the very first step, where in order to create any website, first we need to have the basic structure. So if you see, these are the basic structure where it has given some level of components. It is very high level to understand this one, but these are the minimum things. Any application, these are the minimum things. Now we have only 10 minutes, so let me quickly move to the next slide. So this is the website which it has created. So in this session for C# development, we are using ASP.NET Core. We are going to create a C# ASP.NET Core web application in Visual Studio. In order to do that, we need to have this Visual Studio. So if you have these things, let me quickly go to, that is for front end, and this prerequisite is for the backend. So this is Visual Studio IDE, like you need to install the here. If you see on my screen, as we are using community, that is free, and enterprise is for the enterprise organization level. So you can install community and you can proceed further. Moving to the next slide. So this is the prerequisite for backend. As we are using C#.NET as a programming language, this will be the backend thing which we are going to use it. Once you have completed installation of the .NET Visual Studio, you need to go here and see. Let me quickly open it. Visual Studio. Here, this is in my mission, where I need to create a new project here. So this will be, creating new project. Yeah. So if you see here, ASP.NET Web Core Web App C#. So I'm going to click here because we are going to use C# here and ASP.NET Core Web, and click on next. So basically it is a backend or backend project. Okay, backend project, as that is the front-end project, and I'm using this as backend project for my application. So this is .NET Core, which keep it as it is, and click on create. So it will create some files similarly how Angular has provided to us. So the Angular is front end, and ASP.NET Core Web App, which we are using, that is a backend. But this is only for sample, because we are not using this core web app. We are using class libraries for APIs. We will come to know in our next sessions. So if you see backend project, let me click that here, IS Express. You need to run it, the application. So once you run it, similar kind of this application will be open. If you see here, but it is on a different port, localhost 44367, and here it is 4200, the localhost. So if you see backend project, it is also similar to our Angular, how it has developed, but we are using .NET. We are not using .NET to create the front end. .NET is capable of creating the front end pages also. If you see, this is front end page. We call it as CSHTML, C# HTML, but we are using front end as Angular, back end as .NET APIs, not .NET web application. So if you see building web apps with ASP.NET Core, web applications can be created with the ASP.NET Core, but we are using .NET only for APIs, application program interface. We will come to know in the next slides. Moving to the next slide. So these are the steps. Yeah, how it has created structure, scaffolding structure, how it has created. So final problem statement here, what we have. So we are going to have an online classified portal. It is a classified advertisement portal website with the selection of all local cities. In our case, for example, if I select London, I can see what are the available items in the London for buy and sell. So items wanted, service, community services. For example, if I wanted a physiotherapy service in my region, if I'm staying in central London, I wanted to know like physiotherapy services in my region. So I can search by selecting cascading drop downs, and check what are the available. For example, if somebody is selling their laptop, and I can go and search and get it through that. So it is purely online classified e-commerce portal, which we are going to cover in next sessions. These are very high, high level and prerequisite for our next coming sessions. So I'm just stopping my presentation now, and we will see in our next coming sessions. Yep. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.